Welcome back to the Black Evolution. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Dabby Dane, and today we're going to talk about one topic, one very serious topic. That is Breonna Taylor shooting and situation. Let's get into it. Okay, so I want to start off right off the bat by saying the specific statement. I was absolutely disgusted and very angry with the decision that happened with the Breonna Taylor case and situation. Let me tell you why. Number one, it proved once again that the justice system has failed the people, specifically Black people in America. Number two, it proved to me that the $12 million settlement that they gave to the family was a payout. I'm going to say it again. The $12 million that the family got and from property value and everything was a payout. And that amount of money cannot bring back Breonna Taylor. So, in order to explain what happened with the decision, let's go back to the very beginning of what happened with Breonna Taylor. Number one, Breonna Taylor was a EMT worker. And she was asleep in her own apartment. The police that shot her were allegedly looking for a drug dealer. That was her former boyfriend, or that happened to be her former boyfriend. Now, when that took place, they issued a no-knock warrant, which is pretty stupid if you ask me, in my opinion. And they went in there with a no-knock warrant, didn't announce themselves. Breonna's current boyfriend thinks that someone's breaking into the house. They try to break into the house, and according to the boyfriend's point of view, he thinks somebody's breaking into the house. So the police rush in with a no-knock warrant. Keith Walker, Breonna Taylor's current boyfriend, shoots. The officers shoot back. 7 or 8 times, they hit Breonna Taylor. She dies. About 144 days go by, and nothing happens to the officers. They're on administrative leave, and Breonna Taylor's case was basically the city was dragging their feet through the mud with this case. Then they do a $12 million settlement with the family. Give him that money. And then they don't even charge the 3 officers. One of them does get charged, but it's for wanted endangerment. Let me say this again to my viewers here out there. It's for wanted endangerment, not murder. Wanted endangerment. Basically, recklessness. And to be honest, that was a BS charge. As Will Smith said, I'm allergic to BS. And something about this case was unsettling. Number one, the whole no-knock warrant thing was messed up. You shouldn't do a no-knock warrant. You should announce yourselves. The police say they announced themselves, but it was a no-knock warrant according to the facts that I researched. And now you have civil unrest taking place in the United States, all because the government failed to do their job and charge these officers. Or rather, I should say, they didn't want to charge the officers. They were pressured into charging the officers. This goes back to what I've been saying, that the police, you cannot get justice in America with this American court system, because what happens is the cops are corrupt. The judges are corrupt. They don't want to charge. They don't want to do anything. They have to be pressured by the people, us, Black people, everybody who's been protesting. They have to pressure them. And then they don't really do anything. This pisses me off, because how can you get justice? How can you say you're equal under the law, but then you don't get justice for Breonna Taylor? They don't charge him with murder. But if a civilian did that, just busted through the house and started shooting, didn't announce themselves, they would charge them with murder. Because it's police, do you think they're any different? I will say this. No one is above the law. The police are not above the law. I don't care if you wear a badge. Your job is to protect and serve, not beat and kill whoever you feel like it. And now, because of civil unrest, so far 2 officers have been killed during the protests, according to the Washington Post. This situation is getting out of control. And who's to blame for the situation? Well, the Louisville, Kentucky Police Department. Not only the police department, but the mayor. Why is the mayor to blame? Because, like I told you guys before, the mayor is in a position of power. The mayor hires the police chiefs, or the mayor hires the district attorney, who hires the police chief, who hires all the police officers. So it's something inside the government that caused the situation to spiral out of control. If the Louisville, Kentucky officers or Louisville, Kentucky government did their job, then there wouldn't be any protests and they wouldn't be in this mess. If they didn't do a no-knock warrant, they wouldn't be in this mess. So no-knock warrants need to be banned, which I've heard, according to my research, they are being banned. But this does that. You cannot bring Breonna Taylor back with a payout, hush money. You can't do that. You can't bring her back. And I will say this. George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and now Jacob Blake. How many more have to die for police to understand that police brutality needs to stop, needs to end? I'm also going to say this. I believe there is an agenda that's being pushed. I believe there is an agenda that's going on. You have 4 back-to-back cases of racism / police brutality happen in a matter of a few months. I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't think that's a coincidence. There is something going on. Something is going on. An agenda is being pushed. Somebody is trying to... I'm not even going to go there, but I will say this. Something is wrong with the justice system. Something is wrong. The cops seem to be corrupt. The judges seem to be corrupt. Something is going on. Something is wrong. There is somebody or something controlling the scenes. Somebody. An organization. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. I will say this. An agenda is being pushed. An agenda is being pushed. You can't have 4 cases of police brutality within an accordance of 4 months and not know the agenda is being pushed. Protesting or stirred up, rioting is looting and all that, which I don't believe in rioting and looting, but Martin Luther King Jr. did say that rioting and looting is the voice of the unheard, so I understand their frustration. I just don't agree with the tactics they are using. And speaking of tactics, why is it that when there's a police killing, a police brutality killing, all we as Black people resort to is protest? Protesting. As if that's going to solve anything. Yes, it brings awareness, but what's the end game? What's the end goal? The laws need to be changed. Okay, well, put yourself in a position of power and change the laws. Be in the government. Run for the government. So that way you can change the laws, become the change that you see. Not through protesting and saying Black Lives Matter all the time, which that's the great first step. But getting involved in government, knowing who's in charge. This brings me to my second point about police brutality. The only way to shut it down is to see who's in position of power. Once you see the position of power, such as the mayor, the district attorney, you can vote them out because the people have the power to take them down. Why? Because you put them there. People don't realize it's power that they have. You put them in office, so you can take them out of office. This is why it's important to know who to vote for and to make informed decisions. Make good decisions. Know who to vote for. Get politically educated. Get politically active. Vote. This is why this upcoming election, you need to vote. Not just for the presidential elections, which that's big, but the local elections. Know who your mayors are. I know who my mayor is in North Carolina, Miss Lyles. I know who my mayor is. I know who my council members are. I want to let you guys know that, because once you get politically educated and you know what's going on, you'll be able to see what agendas are being pushed, what situations is going on. I will leave you with this specific scripture from Ephesians. It talks about spiritual warfare and how we must resist the devil's schemes. It talks about that. This is what I said. This is what I mean when I say agendas are being pushed. This is what I mean. Because you cannot have police brutality happen over and over and over again and not see that there's an agenda being pushed. You cannot have that. So I will leave you with this scripture with Ephesians. It tells you straight up, talking about spiritual warfare. With spiritual warfare, you get everything. You get everything. It says in Ephesians specifically about flesh and blood. It says it here. Ephesians chapter 12. Excuse me. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. It tells you right here about spiritual warfare. This is what's really going on. This is what's really taking place. This is what the agenda is. It tells you right here. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, and against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. This is the real agenda being pushed. This is what I said about about the agenda being pushed, ladies and gentlemen. About people pushing agendas, about things being put in place. Somebody's behind it. I didn't want to go here, but I felt the need in my spirit to tell you what's going on. I feel obligated to tell you what's going on in spiritual warfare. That's why you have this civil unrest. That's why you have racism. That's why you have bigotry. That's why you have all these things going on, because it's not against flesh and blood. White against black, black against white, white against Hispanic, Asian, Latino, anybody. It's spiritual warfare going on. I'm telling you. In Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. I'm going to read it again. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. This is what I mean when I said earlier that an agenda is being pushed. So I want leave you guys with this. Think, pay attention, make informed decisions, and know that spiritual warfare is going on. I'm going to say it again. Know that spiritual warfare is going on, because if you don't, you will be caught up in this cycle of racism, violence, and evil that is happening, that is taking place. This is Davin Daniel from the Black Evolution, and I'm signing off.